Have you not seen how God wafts the clouds? He is the cleaver of the daybreak. Then split the earth in clefts.
فسبح باسم ربك العظيم.
Is indeed a sigh for people who reflect. Reflections. Surely nothing in the earth or in the heavens is hidden from God. It is He who shapes you in the wombs of your mothers, as He wills. There is no deity worthy of worship except Him, the Almighty, the All-Wise.
That's right, we're right across the river from Palestine, as a matter of fact, here in Aqaba. The new moon, the Hilal, has been sighted for the month of Shawwal.
When the adhan is called, it doesn't matter where you are. You go and you make your salah, alhamdulillah.
Now, I think this is something that, inshallah ta'ala, we'll all be able to benefit from.
Guidus TV is free. No ads, no spam, no big business. Just free.
Log in now and make your contribution today to support your favorite project at donatetoislam.com.
And we're coming to you almost live from our studios here in Southern California. And I say almost live because we always have a little bit of a delay. I've got some real good news for the folks that have been putting up with that delay. We are working on a project. Within the next few days, you should be able to see it. We'll have only a 1-second delay. That's one of the things that we're working on right now in the tech department, and we are praying and hoping that Allah will accept it and make it so that we only have a 1-second delay instead of a 1-minute delay. And that will help us in our phone communication as well. Also today, I found a way that I can use a lot of the features of Zoom, and we're going to be implementing those as we go along through the next week. This is a special day. This is the first day of the working week, and the best news about that is nobody's supposed to be working. It's Labor Day. So the work week starts with a day that you don't have to work. And to help us talk about all of that, I want to see if we can get some of our guests in here with us. Right now, I think we have a guest all the way from Tampa, Florida. Let's see if we do. Assalamu alaikum, doctor.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah. Tell us about Tampa. What's going on?
A lot of rain, cloudy. I took my girls out yesterday, and subhanallah, it varies from only within 10 minutes from a very sunshine to very cloudy and rainy and thunder, and then when you get stuck on the long bridge, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And you can't see anything within like few feet in front. My daughter was driving, thank God, alhamdulillah. We made it home, but it was just an abrupt, change. But alhamdulillah, there's a lot of rain, and weather start to cool off a little bit. So that's
All right. That's good news. Good news. So you have daughters, so you have ladies surrounding you all the time, is that right?
I have 3 daughters, correct? Alhamdulillah, they're all wonderful. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. I grew up with this, and all my life I've been surrounded by girls. I have to
One of my
admit,
doctor
they're-
colleagues.
I love it. I love it.
We should have a male dog or something to balance the estrogen domination.
MashaAllah.
I'm okay.
MashaAllah. Well, now we have another guest with us too, and I wanted to introduce him as well. And now we're going to go to the middle of the United States. We've been from California to Florida. You're going across the bottom of the United States from one extreme to the other. And both of us, we have nice weather, we have warmth, we have, all that cool stuff. But let's go into the very middle of the United States in a place called St. Louis, Mo, short for Missouri. And who do we have there? Dr. Sultan. Salaam alaikum, doctor. How are you?
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
MashaAllah. It looks like you got a new camera or a new facelift. What did you do?
In this technological world, anything is possible. You can look younger, you can look beautiful, you can change your color. Everything is
And the sound, I'm really impressed because we've always had the different sound broadcasts from each one of the participants in our program here. So I'm glad that you have a sound that it's balanced. It sounds really good. MashaAllah.
Thank you. You see, I want always a big thing for a small buck. So about $50 invested in this has earned me such a good admiration from my great teacher, from my great mentor. So I'm really thankful about that.
Well, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. One of the things I think we should also mention is that it's not just about the sound and the lighting, although those are the real big parts of it, but it's also getting the camera to balance. In other words, if you see me like this in there, like it's too much, and if you see somebody way back, that's not enough. And then if let me make an adjustment here. Watch what happens. This, and if you see my head down here like this, you're going to be like, what the? Yeah, so it all. Yeah, there we go. And that's not going to work either. So whenever you're using this, the zoom and the fake backgrounds and all of that kind of stuff, you have to be very careful to get a balance. Also, watch this. If I turn it like that, now I'm in another part of the room. See? You see how I'm sitting over here? Like I'm looking across the room. And then if all I got to do is turn in my chair, but watch. By turning my camera, it looks like I'm sitting on the other side of the room. So all of those things make a big difference whenever you're going to be doing the kind of work that we're doing here with this. And you're a doctor, so you're very familiar with doing remote work anyway. Is that right?
Well, I just started learning to do that for the first time in my lifetime. Otherwise, we always had a direct contact with the patient, because there's nothing like having a direct contact with the patient and being in the same room and interacting with the patient, you see. But this is the next best thing we can do. Fortunately, we have this technology that we can virtual meeting, virtual office visits, and still be safe, But I really like high-touch medicine, in which you have more interaction with the patient.
That's like the old-fashioned way. Come on, doctor. That's real old-fashioned. Because now we do everything remote, like robots and technology, internet, and so, yeah.
See, there's always a discussion, old versus new. there's discussions going on. Is always bad? The news always good? No. All can be good. All can be has more advantage. Like for example, right now I will give you a stark difference between the new medicine versus old medicine versus new medicine. In new medicine, it is called high-tech, low-touch medicine.
High-tech, low-touch
medicine.
All right.
High-touch, the old medicine, which is high-touch and low-tech. You see, one of the
high-touch, low-tech.
Low-touch.
That's the old stuff. The new stuff is the high-tech, low-touch.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the new medicine.
All right.
When the patient complained, they say, well, doctor was on the computer, was talking to me on the computer. You see, the old way was you would listen to the patient, you spend time with the patient, for the patient saying you listen to the patient instead of being busy typing it in.
Yeah, but I think what I was referring to, and I appreciate exactly what you're saying, but I think what I was referring to was more of the conference kind of a call. Whenever we used to pick up the telephone and we'd ask the operator to connect us with two other people or one other person, and then we would be able to say, Doctor, now we have a patient here that has this and this and that, and then they say, describe it. And we're trying to say, well, it's kind of long. How long? And relative to what? I mean, when you say, man, it was really long. Well, okay, compared to a mountain or compared to a pencil, And so whenever we have the video conferencing, what we can do is take the camera and show something really, really close. Let me give you an example of something that I have that's very, very actually small. It's very small.
Right. Allah, mashallah, beautiful.
Okay? But if I say I have a Quran here, for instance, and I'm talking to you orally, but you don't have the visual, and I say, it's not a very big Quran, and pages in here.
Yeah.
There's 600 pages. Now, if I pull up another book like this, and I say, well, okay, I've got this book here. Now, look at the difference in the sizing. And we're only talking about size, and then we're not talking about inflation. Like, for instance, if there's an inflamed part of the skin, now, is it real red? Well, okay, what do you mean red? Is it real pink? What do you mean pink? Because in relationship to the person that has really dark skin, his blood coming out of it is going to be a very different comparison than the blood coming out of somebody with a light skin. And if you say, oh, it's all over the place. Well, what do you mean by that? So this is what I was talking about, the technological, is that a word? Technological, yeah. Advancement that we have in the ability to communicate. This is all about communication. And whether it's visual or audio, these two things are the big factors. However, there are some other things too. The visual and the audio are the big things. But then there's also smell. Now, I can't give you that with the technology we have today, but maybe they're working on something like that you would actually be able to have a sense of the smell of something, and that might be important when you're trying to do some of your what do you call it, when your investigation
medical evaluation.
Yeah. Evaluation, yeah, that's yeah. So,
and another thing, all these things are advancement over the blind telephone. You see, so it is far more advanced, but at the same time, another part of that is missing in the touch part. You cannot
well,
feel.
Yeah, again, what I was talking about more or less was the advantage that a doctor would have to bring in his other peers to help him analyze and describe the situation and make an analysis of what is really happening, because I have a doubt here. So I'll call my friend and or another doctor, a teacher, professor. I'll call him and get him on the line and tell him what I'm looking at. So yeah, I'm there. I can touch the guy, but what about bringing in somebody else for consulting? And I don't have to put him in an airplane and fly him all the way from Durban, South Africa, to Boston, Massachusetts to do it.
Certainly. Yeah, these are all advantages. These are all advantages, and I agree with that as compared to the old blind technology, you see.
Yeah, more or less I was talking about conference calls more so than...
Believe me, this is a very big blessing, because otherwise a lot of people will not get the medical care. They're so scared of, especially in these days, of COVID, that they really don't want to leave their house, you see. So I don't blame them. So at least they have availability of as close to as possible real medicine by using these technologies. Absolutely.
Yeah, and now I just heard another voice in the background there, so I think I want to bring out this another opinion about this. You know how when you're dealing with doctors, you need another opinion, right?
if you don't trust the first guy, okay?
All right, let's bring him in. Dr. Adil, I wanted to ask you right now, prior to this pandemic, had you been using these technological advancements in your medical career?
Yes, for the last 10 years, alhamdulillah, we use this to help people from everywhere, locally, while they're, vacationing, happen to be in Florida, all across the nation where we have snowbirds, or globally where we have patients or their families, they're checking on their parents, whether from Oman, Dubai, or South Africa, you mentioned, Australia, all over. And it's been a great, method of communication, explaining what's going on. I used to have, patients coming with their parents on a Saturday. I used to have Saturday hours just to help accommodate the professionals. But now I think this is a great advantage that we can go. It really has to be combined with a critical element. It's called trust, because no matter who's going to talk you, give you the what's happening, there has to be trust. And now I encourage patients and everybody not just to take everything for granted, but actually look it up and be educated and learn about it. And then now everything is available from their mobile phone, so you can Google it, they can search it, they can look it up, and so on. And then they can help their parents if they're caring for them at home, or they it's been a great tool to help people. Doc, I cannot fly, come down. Now it's accelerated with COVID. And regardless of patients' physical ability to, during the time of the visit, they will still get the care as if they were there physically. And they will be also satisfied and feeling good that they have seen as much as possible close to the real in-person deal. And that's where it's coming. And I think this change is permanent, and it's going to stay, and it's going to be very, I believe, very helpful to really also, offer second opinion. This is what we did with the Florida Medical Tourism, because I've seen a lot of people, they're not getting what they're supposed to be getting. A lot of people are not caring about the cultural sensitivity and so on and so forth, which is a great part of your ability to interact with patient in a positive way, to get them more compliant with the intake of medicine. And the cultural sensitivity in medicine is becoming a crucial element in the global healthcare market. So people will gravitate towards whoever they feel comfortable. They understand if you're a Hispanic patient, you want to become with a patient who understands your language, know your culture, and can relate to things that you're saying and so on. And that opened a whole new really world on the globality of things. So yes, it is very exciting to use technology and to deliver care because you can get one opinion, well, it's going to cost you $1 million, but then another opinion for effective therapy that is cheap, that is non-invasive, that's natural, there's no side effects, and it costs you, a couple of dollars. So there are so many ways. I'm only to go to what's called evidence-based medicine. You don't, doesn't matter how to get there as long as you get there safely and effectively and in a cost-effective way. Because people, if they cannot afford to go to the doctor or pay, their bills or have food on the table, they're not going to go for fancy, choices in healthcare.
Okay, doctor, one of the things I'd like to ask you about this, now we're talking about technology. I want to kind of stay with that because I feel like a lot of us, whether we're in the medical field or the broadcasting field or whatever, but I think more and more people are using this technology of reaching out and communicating with others through different software like Zoom and the YouTube thing and even Facebook, things like that. So when we're doing this, how much concerned should we be about where we get our information from?
What do you mean by where we get the information from? Yeah, what information is reliable and what information is not reliable, because we got everything on the internet from A to Z you can search for. And this has become a very difficult question, you see. It has both benefits and as far as drawbacks. The benefits are that the people are now started to think. In the previous paradigm, doctor said and I did it, that paradigm is being changed. Patients are intellectually challenging patients, for physicians. For example, a patient may come and say, Doc, you're giving me blood pressure medication. Can't you figure out what is causing my problem that I don't need the blood pressure medication or pain medication or inhalers and stuff like that? Because I read on internet so and so, and that, for example, magnesium deficiency can help with blood pressure. So have you looked into that? In my case, if I had magnesium deficiency, for example, or with the asthma, have you? Don't you think that I should be allergy tested to figure out what allergies I have and be treated and stuff? You just provide the inhalers and stuff like that. So this is opening up the horizon, and I'm bringing up the information. And again, this is the biggest challenge we have, to sort out between what is good and what is bad, and what is really fake and what is real, and what is applicable to the patient. But this is what the best person is, the physician, who can judge the information. Patient brings it, and physician judges it. Sometimes I have seen myself personally that patient have brought me the information that I had no idea that information existed. When I researched, I found that information was correct. So it increased my horizon. On the other hand, I saw something was a bad idea, so I told him this is a bad idea. So
what I'm talking about particularly, and you're hitting almost right dead on the mark. What I'm talking about in particular, though, is the source of the information that we're deriving, whether this information is applicable to our work, to our health, to our faith, to our social circumstance, etc. How important is it to know the source where we're getting it from?
That's 100% true. If you're getting a source of information from vested interest, that you have to see where who's bringing that. I mean, in medicine, this is a very big dilemma that where the information is coming from. For example, if the information comes to you is that the only way to treat your headaches is various pain medication, including narcotics and stuff like that, it is coming from where it's coming from. But on the other hand, you look for the information where it can treat the underlying causes. So yes, you have to see where the source is coming, where the research is coming, who's paying money to who. All these things go on in field of medicine.
All right, Dr. Adil, what is your take on what I'm saying?
Yeah, very important. This is very much matches what I mentioned earlier about the trust factor. Trust the information, the quality of information you're getting. Trust the provider. They're really caring about you, or they're just out to make money and then actually, how could I say, the mechanic, the good mechanic versus bad mechanic, the guy who would just not make sure the car is not fixed all the way, it's fixed halfway, so you keep coming back to the mechanic or the plumber. And I mentioned this all the time. We come, we tell what it is, straightforward, and explain things. And they may hear things they didn't want to hear. Stop smoking, bad habits, all that stuff, especially with alcohol and other drugs. And because most of the diseases are preventable, believe it or not, acute and chronic diseases are mostly preventable by taking the right measures. With technology, there is going to be two-way street. You could really use this to enhance the communication, improve delivery, improve compliance, improve the fact that the patient feel good, and as there's continuous monitoring. But there is the on the other hand, the side effect. There could be information overload where a patient's actually going to be confused and lost. So that's why it has to be very, very focused. And there are going to be uses of a lot of devices called Internet of Things. I'm sure you heard about it. There's going to be, expected in the next few years, going to be maybe 500 million of these devices that's implanted. We know for cardiology, for instance, I use this remotely to check on pacemakers, defibrillators. Sometimes there's implantable loops if you want to detect the heart rhythm, abnormality, and so on. But there are going to be a lot of these devices communicating with each other globally, and there is a potential for hacking. There's potential for a lot of bad things happening unless these informations are secure and safe. And there has to be, I would say, measures to guarantee quality and security of this information with all this revolution of devices and so on and so forth. And a lot of people may or may not just have money first and whatever else comes later. I tell people you have to be very careful. It has to be evidence-based. It has to be specifically related to the patient's data and conditions and symptoms, because a lot of things, unfortunately, in medicine are done with not evidence-based and mostly to generate revenues. And you see it, and then the patients comes back and said, how come all these years, when they come for a second opinion, whatever, they've been through the mill, they cost, arms and legs, and they almost went bankrupt, all this stuff, which could be very simple treatment in the first place. But then go around this, mechanic thing that I told you, theory that I told you, just keep them sick so that they keep coming back and so on. As a Muslim, as a believer, as a man or a person of faith and ethics, there really should be every potential effort and knowledge should be served to the patient and made aware of in simple language, that they can understand and they can act on to make their life healthy. Now, there are people who take very aggressive approaches. I'm giving you an example in Florida, for instance. I take a very conservative approach with, senior nursing homes, and, would have multiple conditions on. You don't go really aggressive with them with cardiac catheterization and intervention and so on, because medical therapy will do just as good and without all the potential for cost and radiation damage and so on and so forth, and kidney damage from unnecessary dye load that they need. So if we look around, and really see what it is, I believe that I work on an alternative choice on the menu. If this is what's happening with X and Y, we want to bring a different model and a different choice on the menu and let people know, and it's all evidence medicine and it's cost effective. Because really the bottom line from now on, anywhere, locally or globally, is going to matter to who can afford it, who can actually, pay for it. Because now, maybe, a lot of reports just came out, and looked at it a day and yesterday, actually, 4 years, insolvency for Medicare, 4 years, because, so cost effectiveness is critical in the delivery of healthcare.
Okay.
Let me ask you one question.
Actually, when we come back, we're going to pick that up. We've got something, if somebody was telling us, for instance, don't go to these doctors today because they're giving you all kinds of bad stuff and you need just natural. And so I want to pick up with that. And also something about a rat killer called warfarin. We're going to be talking about that when we come back. And let's pay attention closely to this because we're going to be announcing tomorrow more of our contest winners. So stay tuned and stay guided. We'll be right back. Salam alaikum. The judging is over, but the contest continues. Now you can get extra prizes, extra gifts, and extra rewards from Allah. Yeah. The new contest is just read the translation. That's right. Just open up this translation we already sent to you, find the same verses you already recited, and then read it in English. Record it, upload it to your account on Recite on TV. We've got more age groups, more prizes, more rewards with Allah. What could be better? Well, just stay guided with Guidus TV. And we are back. So you did get the idea. We really are serious about learning the meaning of the Quran for all of our reciters. So tomorrow we'll be announcing more about that and also more winners. Yes, sir. Oh, and we got a big surprise for the winners because, well, I'll let you find out about that tomorrow. Be sure to share this right now. If you're watching us on any of the social media right now, or if you have social media, maybe you're watching us on satellite, but the social media is a good way to introduce Islam and Muslims to a lot of people. So if you go to your accounts, if you have Twitter, if you have LinkedIn, if you have Facebook or YouTube, please share this message with everybody, and then we'll do all the hard work, okay? MashaAllah. Now, let's come back to our program right now. We're talking about different sources of information, the information that we need as people that are confined to our homes. Yeah. And so we're working out of our offices at home, our dens at home, sometimes our living room, even our bedrooms, that we're hooking up with people, talking with people, and doing what you're watching right now, broadcasting. So how important is this information, and how important is the source where we're getting it from? I'm going to share something with you and let you think about this. This is about rat and mouse killer. Yeah. Rat and mouse killer? So what has that got to do with doctors? Well, you might be surprised when I tell you that some people are going to tell you that, let me see, put that up for you, and here we go. Take a look at this. They're associating it with aspirin. Rat poison and aspirin? How is that? How could anybody make that kind of a connection? Well, let's ask our doctors right now. Dr. Ado, salam alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Doctor, we just saw some pictures of rat poison and aspirin, and people are making a connection with this. Is there any truth to the warfarin, the thing that's in these pellets that kills rats? Anything related to aspirin?
I'm glad you mentioned that. There are various types of blood thinners. There's two components of a blood clot. One is called platelets. This is a part of the blood components. You have the red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. This is the components in the blood, in addition to plasma, of course. And then you have other elements which lead to blood clots. Based on the component of that, then you target with the therapy. Rat poison, warfarin has been out for centuries as a very effective therapy for certain blood clots conditions. Like, for instance, people have rheumatic mitral stenosis or narrowing of the mitral valve, or if they have a mechanical heart valve. Mechanical heart valve and rheumatic fever, these are called valvular heart disease that will indicate and need warfarin, still number one blood thinner used for these kind of conditions. But there are other indications for blood thinners, and then luckily and fortunately, in the last few years, there's been advance of new oral anticoagulants, a new generation of blood thinners that is not working like warfarin in their action. It's a different action on pathway altogether that really ends up with the same conclusion, which preventing blood clots and preventing strokes. If you hear about a very common heart rhythm, especially in seniors in America, more than 1 million a year, called atrial fibrillation.
How do you spell that, doctor? How do you spell it?
ATRIAL, and then fibrillation, FIBRILLATION. Atrial fibrillation. Or if you're from Boston, they'll say atrial fibrillation. That's just a way that Missouri and Missouri kind of deal. So you have this oral blood thinners or oral anticoagulants, most common of which you see the commercials like Eliquis, Xarelto, and people have become more and more familiar with the Pradaxa, and these are work on a different pathway that will obviate the need for Coumadin. Coumadin had a lot of blood problems in the past where can go too high, too low. You cannot really go out and eat green leafy vegetables because it has vitamin K and it counteracts the action of warfarin. So you cannot eat green leafy vegetables and salads and all that, which is a big issue for a lot of folks and patients who are deprived from this, from just eating salads, green leafy vegetables. And they have to have frequent the blood testing to make sure that they are still within the therapeutic range. And for each condition that the patient is taking Coumadin, whether it's a blood clot in the legs or in the heart valve, it has to be within the therapeutic range. So if it is too high, it will lead to bleed. If it's too low, it will lead to blood clots, unless you maintain this very narrow therapeutic range. And a lot of people, unfortunately, ended up with either strokes or bleeding because of this, problem. Because unless it's monitored and kept very, very close, so it becomes very cumbersome. People have to go and be tested and then adjusted and go to the hospital where the blood is too thin and they bleed out from Coumadin. So all these, for the major part, like maybe 95%, Coumadin has been replaced with the new generations of oral blood thinners, which has a much lower incidence of bleeding, but it also gives the best protection, to prevent from blood clots, especially in the atrial fibrillation and non-valvular heart disease, not related to the valve. And this is how the American College of Cardiology and American Heart Association have recommended to use. The aspirin will always be a lifelong therapy for those who have coronary artery disease, blockages in the heart, or peripheral vascular disease, blockages in the arteries in the neck or the leg. So that will be a chronic therapy, long-term therapy to prevent the blood clots through inhibiting platelets. I hope I can make it very simple to laymen to understand this, but the decision has to be done in conjunction with your physician to explain what it is that you have, and the fact that you have to watch for bleeding, and the fact that depending on the choice of Coumadin or the oral anticoagulants and their compliance and so on. So it's definitely have come a long way. We improved a lot, because I can go to bed at night worrying about the same patient who may have, doc, I went to the bathroom at night and I fell in the bathroom. You know what? He's on Coumadin or other blood thinners, and he could bang his head and have a bleeding in the head, and could be a major problem, especially with seniors living by themselves here in Florida. So it's getting much better. But these are the basic kind of information that everybody should know about when it comes to blood thinners.
All right. Now, the thing that I wanted to make this comparison for people to understand, that there are things that would kill a rat, would kill a mouse, and would do serious damage even to babies. And so it still could be utilized if it's properly designed for that purpose in many cases, to help relieve headaches. Tell us, doctor, in simple terms, why blood thinning is important to relieve us from these headaches.
It's not a routine therapy for headaches. It's not, it has nothing to do with the headaches at all. It has to do with prevention of strokes and prevention of blood clots, especially when it comes to lung, because it could be fatal, pulmonary embolism if it traveled from the leg and so on. And I mentioned also the therapeutic ranges. Now we want to standardize. If somebody travels from New York to California, he's on Coumadin, you know what? There's called INR, International Randomized Ratio, or you go to Cairo tomorrow. So I wanted to speak the same language with Dr. Sultan. He said INR of 3. So he knows that this is, therapeutic range. Or if it's 5, then it's high. Then we have to hold the Coumadin and so on and so forth. So we know that for the most therapeutic ranges, it's between 2 to 3 INR. And that's where everybody has to be very sensitive to keep those limits within this narrow therapeutic range. But blood thinners have nothing to do with headache. It's specifically related to preventing strokes and the blood clots in the lung, for instance. And the need for Coumadin has been diminished significantly, which is very good news for patients who don't have to travel for frequent finger sticks and blood draw to check the level, and they can eat green leafy vegetables. So that's a great quality of life fish.
Okay, online I'm looking at something called warfarin Coumadin in parentheses, and then it has tablets 5 milligram of warfarin. Is that really, can that really be used as rat poison?
It was, way back in the past. Of course, it has been modified through centuries of pharmaceutical development and advancement. And it comes in various doses, the 1 milligram, 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, and so on, depending on what it takes to get that blood level up to the therapeutic INR. That is really the common language we speak with each other around the globe to make sure that patient blood is too thin or too thick.
Okay, so, but what about that relationship to rat poison? Is it still, can we still use that for rat poison?
Let me interject.
All right, we have an interjector here. Let's let him interject. We don't want an injection. We want an interjection. Okay, I don't need no injection today. Okay, I hope.
Well, if you need injection, you need injection. Okay, all right.
Yeah, when I'm talking to doctors and we get on the subject of interjection, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. If he pulls out a needle, I'm out of here.
Okay, all right. You see, the difference between medicine and poison is the quantity. You see, if you use in small quantity, it can have a medical effect, which is beneficial, you see. But if you use in larger doses, it can be poison. So yes, if you give enough warfarin to a mouse, it'll be a poison. But if you give a small amount to a patient, it'll be therapeutic. But if you give him the mouse amount, yes, that will be a poison for him too. You see, so it's the dose that makes the difference.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
To add to that also, Coumadin is contraindicated for pregnant women because it has potential for cause congenital malformations in the baby and so on. So there are other choices that are safer. If a woman had developed blood clot or have a problem with her heart valve and she's pregnant, so there are other types of blood thinners that are safe during pregnancy, but not Coumadin. I wanted to make sure.
I want to ask you one question from the previous session when you're talking about there's so many the medical devices interlinked, all that stuff, and you're getting the information right now one way from the patient to the physician. So I have got two questions. One is, can you have therapeutic intervention also from those devices? That's number one. Means that you can create an effect through the therapeutic through the devices. And number two, if the answer to that is yes, then is it can it be used as tools for bioterrorism?
Okay, this is a doctor question. May I answer?
Yeah, good answer. That's my answer. As I asked you, yeah.
No, you're now in the hot seat. I'm trained in New York, so alhamdulillah, I can handle that. Therapeutic effects, yes. For devices, I can tell you from my limited experience with defibrillators and pacemakers, you can detect if there is a malfunction or misfiring or failure of capture. All these are things that could be, through an interrogation of the device, could be programmed or reprogrammed to have a better, capture things so people don't feel dizzy or pass out, for bradycardia or, slow heart rhythm, or they can, have a better delivery of shock therapy in case of the heart goes into fast rhythm, like fatal heart rhythm called ventricular tachycardia when it comes to defibrillators. And now you're making the device more effective in delivering the indicated therapy, for them to be implanted in the first place. Other things, there's still in the workup, right now. But all what I'm saying is that the Internet of Things, and Sheikh can Google that, and we can have further discussion, because that's where everything is moving. Unless and until the information is authentic and they're meant to help patients, and they are cost effective and they're ethical, meaning that no one is going to use the data to use this weaponized health data, if you would, to have people lose their jobs or whatever livelihood. That's very, very important, and it has to be regulated, and it has to have anti-hacking technology with it, because if somebody hacked a device, that actually patient can die. So it's very, very critical that all these things has to be regulated, and to do the things that we're supposed to do without all the other negative events.
All right. Okay. I just brought up the subject.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I feel like we got a little bit of education. By the way, all of this is leading up to, I want us to have a go-to place on the internet that we can find answers to these questions. For instance, suppose I wake up in the middle of the night, somebody wakes up in the middle of the night, and they have something that they think is a symptom of the virus that's going around. And somebody had told them, well, if you have this particular symptom, then you got that virus. And they don't know for sure, but they're panicking right now. So if they were able to go to the internet, is there something, is there a website Is there a reliable source that they could access 24 hours a day?
There is some helplines, and I think I posted this article about specifically what people do in acute episode of panic attack during COVID.
Just tell us what it is. Tell us what it is. We'll put
the difference basically, there's is if somebody have an acute attack, this is only temporary, maybe last 15-20 minutes. And believe it or not, there are 40 million Americans, according to the American Institute of Mental Health, 40 million Americans have panic attack every year.
Okay. What I'm asking you is, okay, is there a person who is trusted with the immune systems here in the United States?
Well, there is, a helpline. There is websites that have to do with you're not alone. If you're having this panic episode, you can call this helpline and get some telemedicine. Mental health professional that can help you walk you through it. The basic things that that everybody should know, am I having COVID or not? If it's a short term, 15-20 minutes, which is panic attack, even before COVID. Versus a continuous symptoms, fever, cough, chills, and all that. And if that's along with fever and shortness of breath and so on, if that's a worrisome, then you should probably have it tested, and that will give you the answers, and that will alleviate your big portion of the anxiety. But if there's other
let me try one more time. I'm going to try one more time. There is an office within the government itself that has a medical person in there. What is his name? Fauci. Okay. I'll give you a clue.
Fauci is not he's NIH, but he's not the mental health expert. I'm talking now about when people have an acute panic attack. It's really mental.
That was not the question. The question was the person is having the attack or being panic, maybe not an attack, but he's very concerned when he has a particular thing happens, but he's not sure of is that really, maybe he's sneezing a lot. Maybe he has itching going on. But he's been told by somebody at a card game or whatever, somebody called him on the phone and told him all this baloney. And so is there a common website that somebody could go to real quick and find basic answers about the COVID virus?
What my advice would be, number one is call your physician, okay? Because physicians are always 24 hours on call, so call your physician. But if you do not have a physician, then you search on the internet. You have to just say symptoms of COVID infection, for example, in this case, symptoms of COVID infection, and then just make your own judgment, which becomes very difficult for a person to make his own judgment. So the other thing is go to urgent, if this is that important, go to the urgent care, which is much less expensive than going to the emergency room. The final resort is, if it is not resolved, you go to the emergency room. But there are numerous websites for any kind of medical question that you. What is the most reliable? And I don't know. What is most reliable? I don't know. But usually a university hospital, there's so many.
We have a phone call. We have a phone call. It's exciting. Oh, answer the phone. Answer the phone. We have a phone call.
Well, all right. I think we have a phone call here. Let's take it. Let's see what happens. Hello. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Habibi, Sheikh Yusuf.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Who is this?
Abdul Fattah.
Abdul Fattah, we're live. We're on the air right now. Did you know that?
Oh, no. Okay, I will open it now.
Okay. Always 6 California time, 6 to 7. We're live. We're on the air. But you can ask a doctor's question. We're talking with Dr. Adel in Florida, and we have Dr. Sultan, who is in St. Louis, Missouri. Do you have any question for us?
Okay. MashaAllah. May Allah bless you. May Allah Yusuf Habibi.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah. MashaAllah. Somebody just giving me salams. That's nice. Let's go to the government website that we know already that we can find the answer to.
CDC.
Yes, now you got it. That's what I wanted you to tell us about. CDC.
Center Disease Control.
Center for Disease Prevention. Let's put that up on the screen where everybody can see it. That's all I really was looking for, guys. Oh, now you know.
You wouldn't let it go. You wouldn't let it go.
All right. Well, anyway, this is the coronavirus is a big topic everywhere in the world right now. And if you would like to know more about this disease from a medical standpoint, they do have a website that has a lot of information on it. And this is cdc.gov. cdc.gov. This is no advertising for any particular brand of medicine. It's not promoting any particular hospital or any private practice. This is from the United States government. It's called the Corona Disease 2019, and you can go there right now, and this is what it looks like. The Corona Disease Virus Information Center here is where it is. And it's very easy. If you wake up in the middle of the night and somebody told you whatever, something, if you have that, you've got the disease, you can go right here and look it up and avoid a panic attack. Because part of understanding a problem is to know information about the problem. If, for instance, somebody has a broken bone, and they know it's a broken bone, they're less apt to be worried about it and is the one who's not sure. Because now I have a broken bone, I'm going to try to get treatment for it, or if I'm way out in the desert somewhere, I'll do whatever I remember from the Boy Scouts, for instance, about treating a broken bone. But the thing that I wanted to emphasize more than anything else is stop worrying, get information about it. Now that brings us to the subject of Islam. Both the doctors that we're talking with are born Muslims, from Muslim families, grew up in Muslim environments. So if you really want to know about Muslims, how about we ask a Muslim? If you really want to know about Islam, how about we go directly to the source? And what would be the source for me? The source of Islam is the Quran. The Quran is the source for Islam. Many people say they are Muslims, and maybe they are. But you can tell for yourself by reading the Quran and then looking at what the actions and the teachings of the people are, and then know right away. Does the Quran allow us to attack people and kill people? Read it for yourself and find out.
I want to add to that just in 2 seconds.
Wait a minute. We have a professional doctor going to give us free advice. That's very rare in this world. Okay, so let's take that advice. Go ahead.
About this is continuation of what I mentioned earlier about the importance of dialogue to foster peace. How about us just meeting and talking to each other, and have a campaign always to promote understanding and to remove dispel myths and fear, and really talking about now Islamophobia, and this have been an issue that is affecting so many families and communities and businesses and so on. And to do this in an elegant way, this has been in multiple educational seminars and webinars and community meetings and gatherings. And I recall this particular one back in 2004, and I was actually had the honor of have Sheikh Muhammad Jibril. He was opening.
I hate to interrupt, but we're running out of time. We've only got a few seconds left, and I really want to take advantage of this to tell people that we do have a website to learn about Islam called shareislam.com. And with that, we will run out of time. Everybody tune in tomorrow and get guided with Guide Us TV. Salaam alaikum. The judging is over, but the contest continues. Now you can get extra prizes, extra gifts, and extra rewards from Allah. Yeah. The new contest is just read the translation. That's right. Just open translation we already sent to you, find the same verses you already recited, and then read it in English. Record it, upload